Good evening, Patriots. Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi. Tonight, we're just 12 days away from what could be the most pivotal election in American history. If you're just joining us, make sure you share the live stream right now. Text it to 5 friends because Big Tech doesn't want this information getting out. We're broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube, Rumble, and X, and I need you to follow us on all platforms because we don't know when the censors might just strike. Now, before we dive into tonight's explosive coverage, I want to thank everyone tonight before you send in your Rumble rants, because that's one way you can keep this show on the air and be featured on the show. So keep them coming because your voice matters in this fight. And speaking of fights, we've got some breaking news from multiple fronts tonight. That's right. I just returned from Mar-a-Lago, where I had the privilege of exclusive access to Tuesday's world premiere of The Man You Don't Know. Let me tell you what happened there, including my personal interaction with President Trump. It reveals something the mainstream media is desperately trying to hide. We've got exclusive footage you won't see anywhere else. But that is just the beginning. Last night, Kamala Harris delivered what might be the most catastrophic town hall performance in political history, so bad that even CNN couldn't cover for her. This comes right after her desperate Hitler comparisons backfired spectacularly. We'll break down every painful moment, and then Trump just dropped a financial bombshell that could change everything. He's talking about completely eliminating the federal income tax. The implications are staggering, and we'll explain exactly what this means for your wallet. And just hours ago in Georgia, Tucker Carlson delivered what might be his most powerful speech yet. The energy, the crowds, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And of course, Donald Trump was there as the man of the hour. Now, Patriots, I need to be direct with you. We're the only ones bringing you this kind of coverage, and we can only do it with your support. The links to help keep the show going are in the description below. This is not just about news, it's preserving truth in a time of unprecedented deception. Tonight's show is absolutely packed, and your comments in the live chat will help drive our discussion. Remember, this isn't just a broadcast, it's a movement, and you are part of it. And let's welcome you to it. We've got Patty in the house. Remember, sound off your city, your state, your country, what kind of device you are watching from. We got Jack in Cincinnati. We've got Glenn in Mississippi. We've got Dave in the house. Wallenberg, what's up? We got Chris Woods in Texas. We've got Douglas Wales in North Carolina. We got Sure You swinging the wrench of truth. We've got John Kirby in North Carolina. Betty is here. Voted for the first time this week for Donald Trump. Well, welcome to the family, Betty. We've got Jeremy in the house. We got Lucia in Arizona and Janie Wilson voted early from Lake County, Florida. We got David in the house in Idaho. We got JMK in Missouri. Wait, what? Missouri. Hi. Okay. We got Texas. Rowdy's in the house. We got War Daddy, red part of California. Good to see you. Holding it down there. We've got Bob Nunn. Yes, he can't believe it either. Neither can I. We got Brooks here. We've got Stay Positive 126. Robert is in the house as well. We got Arizona for Trump. Big D. We got Troll Patrol, trolling the trolls. What's up, man? We got the Lone Wolf. Go Red Colorado. DJ Don Mega. Not Mega, but could be Mega. Alawataki for Trump. Okay, all right. We got UAW retired. Carolyn is here. We got Ronald Russell in Missouri. We got Patricia in Texas. Not a troll, real human. Confirmed. We got Red Ohio. Gary Lee is here. We got Elizabeth. What's up? We've got Renee in Minnesota. We got Denise in Missouri. We got Quack stuck in North Carolina. GC is in the house. Stuck in New York City, excuse me. We got Grant Short from Florida. Arnold is here. JMK, Yeager, and Betty, and Sanja, and Rudy, and Jay, and Beagle Mom, and Nunu, and the whole gang's here. So, folks, we got a lot of news to get to tonight, and the time is limited, so let's jump right into it, shall we? Good evening, America. What we witnessed last night wasn't just a town hall. It was the political equivalent of a slow-motion train wreck. Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president of the United States, who wants to be your next commander-in-chief, well, she faced real Americans with real questions, and what happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. Even CNN's own panels couldn't hide their dismay. Word salad city, that's what they called it. But there is something deeper happening here, something that explains the desperate Hitler comparisons just hours before the debacle. Let's get into this. And of course, countless Americans will waste time, energy, and money this year trying to reduce wrinkles, but failing because they missed the real problem: a decrease in their natural collagen reserves. So let me explain. Scientists found that after the age of 20, your body produces 12% less collagen each decade. If you experience sagging skin or wrinkles for your age, you may be collagen deficient. That's why I use this magic secret powder. Get it today while it's 51% off at healthwithgary.com. You'll find the link in the description below. We thank our sponsors for making this show possible, and we thank you for your donations. If you want to donate, you can find a link in the description. All right, let's get into this here. Oh, yes, there was so much to get to. Should we start with this first cringe moment? I mean, Kamala's known for her cringe. I will share you 13 seconds of pure cringe.
Let's get things done. And let's not be afraid of having a little joy to the point of, what makes you feel good about your work. Let's do it in a way that is grounded in optimism. Let's get things done.
Yeah, let's get things done. Let's get you out of office. Kamala Harris participated in a one-person debate last night. That's what they're saying on CNN. And she lost. She was asked a direct question and can only provide circular word salad answers. Let's listen to the first bomb that dropped on CNN.
Donald Trump. Listen, Kamala Harris participated in a one-person debate last night, and she lost. Okay, she was asked direct questions, and she provided very circular answers. My colleagues Van Jones and David Axelrod and others noted that she provided word salad answers. And Anderson would ask her specifically direct questions, and she didn't provide an answer to them. When asked, Anderson asked the best question all night: "Why didn't you do this 4 years ago? Why haven't you been doing this?" 10-minute answer, didn't answer the question. So what she did last night, I don't think helped her cause at all. I think people were looking for, how are you going to, you heard the one woman, how are you going to make my life better? That wasn't provided. Donald Trump bad is not going to get you to the White House. I hate to break.
Yeah, hate to break it to you, Kamala. But let's see. This is Fox News headline: CNN panel critical of Kamala Harris town hall performance, word salad city. The question being asked: why now is the mainstream media turning on Kamala Harris? The CNN panel ripped her performance at last night's town hall. What's going on? Do they know something that we don't? Savannah Hernandez says, yesterday we got preemptively hit with the Trump is Hitler and 30-year-old sexual assault accusations because Dems know how bad Kamala's town hall performance was going to be, and she did not disappoint. Here is wild times when Anderson Cooper's fact-checking Kamala Harris on her town hall. Even CNN knows she's
for him to do a photo.
Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw was about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it. Why is there any ideological perspective on this? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
Under Donald Trump,
So she won't say, I want to build the wall. She won't even utter those words. Oh, man. Total word salad. Here is Conservative Brief posting that Kamala's performance during CNN town hall last night. She ran for president. Well, let's just go to it.
Other job ran for president back in 2019. Yeah. That is the current vice president of the United States. That when faced with issues of the country, says she's still thinking about things. Yeah. I mean, in any other job, you're asking us to hire you, and you don't know the answers to the questions.
She's 12 days away from a possible.
Yes. Why are you 12 days out and you don't know how to fix the border? Why are you 12 days out and you still don't have an answer on how to lower the price of groceries? I mean, that makes zero sense. In any other job, it would be disqualifying.
And why are these jobs so important now to secure the border, to fix the grocery prices? Why weren't they over the last 3.5 years when she was saying the border is secure?
Yeah, great question. Why now? Catastrophic town hall. CNN drops a scathing fact check on Kamala Harris' claims about fracking. Let's watch this point.
Dispense with this.
So first, let's listen to a claim the vice president made about her policy shift on fracking.
I've been very clear. We could have dispensed with this in 2020. I am not going to ban fracking. I did not as vice president. In fact, as vice president, I cast the tie-breaking vote that now has opened up more fracking leases.
And you point out, too, when you were running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but...
No, Anderson, I pledged that I would not ban fracking.
Right, I know.
It is not true that Harris pledged in 2020 that she would not ban fracking as president. Her campaign has explained that she was referring to her comments in a VP debate with Mike Pence. But here's the thing about that debate. Nowhere in it did Harris say she had changed her own previous 2019 support for a fracking ban. What she did say in that debate twice was that Joe Biden, the head of the Democratic ticket at the time, would not ban fracking himself. I have the quotes here. She said, Joe Biden will not ban fracking, end quote. And then she said, quote, Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that, end quote. She didn't say Kamala Harris wouldn't ban fracking as president. That made sense at the time. He was the candidate. But contrary to her claim tonight to Anderson, she did not pledge until this year that she personally would not support a fracking ban. Now let's listen to something she said tonight about former President Trump's border wall.
Okay, we just saw that clip. But, dude, the fact that CNN is coming out and fact-checking her in real time, not just at this town hall, but in post-town hall, this is bad. Here's New York Post. CNN panel roasts Kamala Harris for failing to set out her vision after PA town hall word salad city. Here she is. I may not have the answer.
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess. So I may not be quick.
May not be quick. Yeah, well, you better be quick if you're going to be president of the United States. Here's another point. Harris Faulkner tweeted this out. This happened as CNN town hall voters asked salient and spot-on questions. Kamala Harris replying with a rehearsed set of talking points.
Percent of America. When you talk about rich people paying their fair share, can you be more specific? Income taxes are already on a graduated scale, where the more you make, the higher percentage you pay in taxes. So the rich are paying a disproportionate amount in taxes as it is. Over 40% of Americans don't pay any income taxes. Also, the really high earners may move their money offshore if there are disincentives in the U.S. This could impact the economy. I would like to hear more nuts and bolts about your economic plans.
Sure. Thank you, Pam. So first of all, it is the case in the United States of America that billionaires on average pay less taxes as a percentage than teachers and firefighters and nurses.
I'm talking about hard workers like pound the street, have some success.
Yes, no, I understand, but I want to just let's set the scene, right? Yeah. Wow. So when I say that the richest among us need to pay their fair share, I am referencing that, and I need to reference that because sadly, Donald Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires and big corporations, which added trillions of dollars to our deficit. So that sadly needs to be said in a way that should be obvious to your point, but is not given what he did. Now, in terms of what we need to do to bring down taxes, I have pledged and have a plan for a middle-class tax cut that would affect 100 million Americans, including, for example, what we will do around small businesses in terms of tax deductions, in terms of what small businesses are now being mired in terms of a bureaucracy around they have to fill out and do their taxes in a way that actually holds them back.
She doesn't say anything. She's not giving any answers at all.
My plan includes extending a middle-class tax cut that would include a $6,000 tax cut, essentially a child tax credit.
Yeah, see, she says that because she knows that's a buzzword that people actually understand.
Parents and young parents in particular, knowing that the vast majority of our parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. So this is going to include an extra amount of just money that people can use to pay for childcare, which is far too expensive for too many working families. And part of the issue here is this. We cannot, and I will not, raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year.
We've heard all this before, haven't we? Let's get on with it, shall we? There's more. There's so much more. After feeling the backlash of mocking a Christian at a rally who shouted Jesus is Lord, Kamala panders during her town hall about her call to her pastor. Remember when she kicked those Christians out of her rally?
Baptist Church.
The first phone calls you made after President Biden announced that he was dropping out was to your pastor. And I'm wondering, if it wasn't a confessional, if you could say what that conversation was like.
Well, my pastor, Reverend Dr. Amos C. Brown of Third Baptist Church. It was an extraordinary day that Sunday when the president.
Oh, she makes me so sick. She thinks she can just smile and giggle just like a little girl melting her daddy's heart, right? Yeah, she can do no wrong. Just look at my giggles and my smile. Hee hee, daddy, please. Yeah, she ain't gonna charm anyone with this garbage.
Called me, and I instinctively understood the gravity of the moment, the seriousness of the moment. I didn't.
So I called the Baptist church because I needed Jesus. Yeah, sure you did.
Predict or know exactly how that day would play out. And obviously now it's been 3 months since I've been at the top of the ticket. Actually, 3 months as of yesterday.
Oh, 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. That's how long she's been campaigning since she was installed in the top of the ticket after they kicked Joe Biden to the curb. I'm glad she's in this ticket now.
But
I'm glad she's doing these interviews because the more she opens her mouth, the more she puts her foot in it, and even CNN calling her out. This is glorious.
Called him. I needed that spiritual kind of connection. I needed that advice. I needed a prayer. And
I needed a prayer. Yeah, you definitely need prayer, Kamala Harris. You definitely need some prayer. Okay, so this is a clip Colin Rugg put together. Kamala town hall event was a complete disaster. We've got 7 of the worst moments of the night, and then we've got 6 of the worst roasts from CNN. So let's play the 7 worst moments of the night. I'm sure we've probably played some of them already, but let's see what Colin has to say here.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives. My team will tell you, I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the tires on it.
Is there?
Let's pause that for a second. Her team is constantly quitting because they can't stand working for her because she's a tyrant. The turnover rate in her vice presidential office is atrocious. Yeah, they're kicking the tires to make sure they can get in their car and escape.
Something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes. And they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
So you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. Well, I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if it
is
was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action.
Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall.
We saw that already. Let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. Let's not talk about it if it's stupid or not. Okay, let's get to the CNN reaction. These are the 6 points that Colin Rugg brought out. CNN Scott Jennings says Kamala Harris is a double threat. Well, there's more. Let's go. Even Axelrod. Ooh, that's not good.
I mean, she's like a true double.
When she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city. And she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking.
She doesn't have to be flawless, but she has to give you something. I mean, she's like a true double threat. She's terrible on her feet when she gets unexpected questions. And simultaneously, she can't even answer the expected questions. It's nothing, nothing, nothing. You'd think she'd be prepared to do this by now. What's a mistake you've made? Nothing. What's a weakness you have? Nothing. What's the first law you want to pass? Nothing. What's a policy difference between you and Joe Biden? Nothing. Over and over and over. Empty, empty, empty. If she were an animal, she'd be a duck-billed platitude. But look, it's a total word salad.
Focused a lot more on Donald Trump, I think it's fair to say, than she did on many specifics in terms of what she would do as president. But she did go into some of her plans for small businesses.
Well, I'll just tell you what I'm hearing from people who I have been talking to, and that is that if her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that. And, some people have asked, is she being held to a different standard? Maybe, but that's maybe the world that she's living in. And on the question of who she is, people are understanding that a little bit more. But what she will do, the question about her legislative priorities, name one, there wasn't one.
I think that the word salad stuff gets on my nerves. I think that some of the evasions are not necessary. But when she's talking about trying to get you a house, I believe her.
Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris participated in a one-person debate last night, and she lost. Okay, she was.
Look, friends, when Anderson Cooper has to fact-check a sitting vice president on live television, something unprecedented is happening. The CNN panels ripping her performance, the circular answers, the nervous laughter, it all points to a campaign in free fall. But here's what I want to know from you. Was this town hall the real reason for yesterday's deliberate Hitler comparison? Share your thoughts in the comments below. All right, let's get to it. We got some comments and chat here. Come at me, chat. What do you got for me? What's up? Lone Wolf Michelle, she says, Net's so sick. Wonder if she breaks down and admits she's lying in the upcoming days. Doubt it. She's his stepmother. I think she's been groomed since childhood just for this, says Treva. I have never heard her have a real conversation. Jill, first time she's been fact-checked. Ain't that true? Let's see. Karen says, cackling Kamala couldn't find her way out of a paper bag. Let's see. Jason A. Trump not wanting to debate again if he was if he was that good, he wouldn't step up. Oh, Jason A. must be a Kamala Harris. Must be one of those white guys for Trump. Let's see. Oh, yeah, or white guys for Harris. White guys for Harris in the house. White guys for Kamala. Watch out. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we got. Vote early Patriots, LC, KH smoking up. It's like having to go ask to see if that will work. Okay, all right, we got lots more to get to, folks. Lots more news to break, and just be kind to that poor guy who's voting for Kamala, thinking that Donald Trump needs to go and debate this loser. Anyway, okay, let's see. Okay, we got this Kamala Hitler thing going on. Yeah. Yep, that happened. That actually happened. Okay. 3 minutes of that garbage. Let me get to my post. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those moments that reveals everything. Just hours before her disastrous town hall, Kamala Harris did something that crossed the line even with some Democrats that they won't defend, using the office, the official vice presidential podium, not a campaign event, mind you, to compare a former president to Hitler. But here's what they didn't expect: the immediate and devastating backlash from Jewish leaders, military families, and even members of their own party. Now, check this out. Are you listening? Recent reports show drivers with dash cams are 60% less likely to be found at fault in traffic accidents, saving time and money on legal battles. This easy-to-install dash cam records every detail on the road, offering collision documentation, 24/7 security, and memorable drive capture. Featuring 4K Ultra HD night vision, 24/7 motion detection, and loop recording, it's a must-have for enhanced road safety. Visit carvisionx.com to get free express shipping and several bonuses with every order during their late summer special, or I should say fall. We're in fall now, aren't we? Yeah. All right, let's jump into it. So this was all breaking news. So we got to unpack this madness. When I watched this clip here, I was looking at it closely, and I realized that she was standing at the vice presidential podium, clearly in a campaign speech, which is a direct violation of the Hatch Act. Let's listen to what she had to say. We've got lots of reaction in this from all corners. So let's first set the stage.
Best. So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear, about who he considers to be the enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there.
Tried to stop him. Did you hear what she said? They tried to stop him. He's the commander-in-chief, and his word is an order that cannot be refused.
And no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And she walks away. So my immediate reactions were this: Hatch Act violation, spreading disinformation, Trump out of context, justifying violence, runs from questions, desperation, nasal Karen speak, overall weak sauce. Now, even if Trump did say that, it's meant to be interpreted as he wants members of the military who are going to follow orders and listen to his agenda and not try to derail him like the deep state does. Okay? Well, there's lots of reaction from this. Here's Joe Biden. This was just a day before that.
It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. Politically.
So, yeah. And then he goes, politically lock him up. Sure. Yeah. Is that what you really meant? So we got Glenn Beck's reaction. We've got some Obama stuff. Let's go to Josh Hawley, because what he said is pretty astounding.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's desperate, number one, and it is dangerous, Sean. I mean, I listen to this and I think, what are they trying to do? Encourage the next assassin? I mean, is it not enough that we've already had two very credible attempts? I mean, heaven's sake, Trump was shot. I mean, they shot him in the head. We had a second assassin who had a clear shot at him on that golf course. It's a miracle he's still alive. An innocent American is dead who went to that rally in Butler, and now they're still talking about him being Hitler and inflaming this rhetoric, inflaming the crazy people on their side. No, it's incredibly, incredibly dangerous and irresponsible. Kamala needs to knock it off immediately, and she needs to apologize to the country. She should apologize to Trump, of course, but she should apologize to the country for being such a negligent leader, derelict in her duty. Here she is encouraging violence. She's encouraging it 12 days before an election.
12 days before an election, encouraging violence. Here is former Vice President Pence's Chief of Staff, Nick Ayers, reacting to the General Kelly remarks.
And I want to ask you two very quick questions, if I can. What dynamic did you witness between President Trump and these generals? And did it change over time?
Well, that's such a broad question. There are a lot of them. He was revered by the military at large, especially the rank and file, heroes who served this country. He was revered, and he honored them, and he respects them and loves this nation. You would expect with any president and chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and a cabinet to have disagreements, but it was simply that on debating what is the best outcome for the American people.
Sure.
What is in the best interest? So there was obviously heated conversations of which I was part, whether it was over NATO or free trade.
Yeah.
Right. But the notion that he would say something like this and it be kept quiet, one, for anyone to actually have this information and keep it quiet for that long begs a bigger question about their own character. The notion that they sat on it for 4 or 5 years is reflective of how preposterous it actually is.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole thing is preposterous. It is all made up. Senator Marco Rubio has some thoughts.
The end is not even... That can't happen. They know we're going to win. That's why they're going crazy. Their campaign at the end is not even about them. You won't even hear her say anymore, this is what I would do as president. It's all attacks. It's all viciousness. It's all nastiness because they have nothing to run on. They know we're going to win because they know you're behind us. They know we're going to win here in Arizona because they know you're here behind us. But the way we win is if you go vote and everyone you know that agrees with you goes to vote. And everyone who doesn't agree with you, tell them the election's next 2 Wednesdays, the Wednesday, the day after. That's a joke. Is there media here? That is called a joke. You've got to vote. You've got to get everyone you know to go out and vote. And honestly, vote as soon as you can. Vote as soon as you can so that you can spend the rest of your time getting people out to vote so we will wake up that Wednesday morning and we will be able to say, thank God our president is once again Donald J. Trump. Thank you and God bless. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. We've also got reaction from Marjorie Taylor Greene on those Hitler remarks from Kamala Harris.
On my way over here, I watched a video. I watched Kamala Harris standing at the vice president's residence in Washington, D.C., at a podium with the vice president's seal in her official capacity. And she was giving a speech, and she was calling President Trump a fascist. She was calling him Hitler. And she was referring to a piece in The Atlantic where John Kelly supposedly, after 5 years of not saying anything, decided that 2 weeks before the election, he would come out and say things that Donald Trump supposedly said in office. These people are all the same. Yeah. It's the same playbook. It's the same game. It's the same garbage. It's the same media. It's the same mainstream fake news crap that we have been hearing for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Kamala Harris claims she has the audacity to lie to the American people and say that Donald Trump would turn the military on the American people, that Donald Trump would weaponize the power of the federal government against its political enemies. But let's be very clear. I'll be like Kamala. Let's be clear. You know, I will be clear. There is only one regime that has turned the federal government against its political enemies, and that is the Biden-Kamala Harris regime in power, and Steve Bannon is in jail right now. Well, he's getting out next week. I can't wait to watch War Room.
Oh yeah. Did you hear this? This is this was just 6 hours ago. Here's Tim Walz in North Carolina.
Their enemies. Look, I don't say this lightly because I didn't, in my 60 damn years, I didn't think I'd ever see a candidate for president praising Adolf Hitler's generals or talking about using the military against their enemies. And I mean, it's pretty stunning. And I said, look, I recognize I'm on the top of his list, but don't kid yourself. You're somewhere on that list too if you disagree with these people. That's who they are. Look,
Wow. That's the language that's coming out of the Harris-Walz campaign. And of course, we covered this last week, but it needs to be brought up in the context of these things because they're saying that Trump's going to go ahead and use the military against the American people. Well, that DOD directive that we spoke of last week, DOD Directive 5240.01, gives the Pentagon power for the first time in history to use lethal force to kill Americans on U.S. soil who protest government policies. So who really is talking about unleashing the military on the U.S. citizenry? It's not Donald Trump. It's actually codified into DOD directives in the Biden administration. So they're getting ready for potential unrest at this election. If you remember in that last report we did on this very topic, they were talking about Republicans on MSNBC. They were claiming Republicans were going to burn down polling stations. Okay. They're trying to gin up all of this fear in their own base and probably pull a Jussie Smollett at one of these polling places. You know, they're going to run over there with MAGA hats and torches, and they're going to scream, "This is MAGA country," right? And then, you know, of course, we're going to find out later it was all Kamala Harris supporters. And then they can go ahead and unleash this directive. October surprise from Biden and Kamala remind me again, who acts like Hitler? Ashley St. Clair says, if you can afford to feed your family and are wondering how Kamala Harris is going to help you, don't worry. She just held an emergency 3-minute press conference to call Trump literally Hitler and then went back inside. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre stating that Joe Biden believes Trump is a fascist and a dictator.
Disgusting. And to be praising Adolf Hitler is dangerous and it's also disgusting.
So just to be clear, when you said we do agree, President Biden believes that Donald Trump is a fascist.
I mean, yes, we have said. He said himself. The former president has said he is going to be a dictator on day one. We cannot ignore that. We cannot. And we cannot ignore or forget what happened on January 6th. And to be...
Can't forget what happened on January 6th. And this whole dictator on day one, he said that with Sean Hannity, and he was simply speaking about how he was going to initiate executive orders to start drilling again for oil, to shut down the border, and it was all tongue-in-cheek. But of course, it's taken out of context. They do that to Trump all the time, and then they just run with that narrative until it's just beaten. So we've also got, here's another, okay, so here's this is the Trump campaign actually responding to her desperate press conference. Kamala Harris is a stone-cold loser who is increasingly desperate because she's failing and her campaign is in shambles. This is why she continues to peddle outright lies and falsehoods that are easily disproven. The fact is that Kamala's dangerous rhetoric is directly to blame for the multiple assassination attempts against President Trump, and she continues to stoke the flames of violence, all in the name of politics. She's despicable, and her grotesque behavior proves she is wholly unfit for office. Stephen Chung, Trump Campaign Communications Director. She's a stone-cold loser. I believe we also have President Trump's reaction as well. I'll see if I can track that for you, too. We've also got, let's hear what Glenn Beck has to say.
All kinds of, let me show you something that happened today, and this is where it takes a dark turn. We have all kinds of terrorists that have come in from our open borders. There are rumors that weapons of mass destruction have been smuggled across our borders, shoulder fire rockets. We have Iran and Iranians that are here in the country that wish to kill Donald Trump. And now we have people thinking that he's Hitler. But they haven't stopped. This just happened today. Watch.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former...
I believe this is the vice president's, Kamala Harris. I've never heard anything like that. I find that absolutely amazing. Now, I want to show you how propaganda works. When I first heard this, somebody said, have you heard the Kamala Harris quote that she just gave? I think she gave it in front of the White House. Well, it's not the White House. I believe this is the vice president's mansion. But notice the picture here. The picture is Kamala Harris in the middle with the two presidential mics and the seal of the vice president of the United States, the American flag, and the flag of the vice president. This is this is not a campaign. This is the United States vice president informing you that Hitler is on the way. Will they not stop at anything? Controlling elites, especially those at the helm of the propaganda industrial complex, think this way. And don't think it's a mistake. They have all of the experts, like Cass Sunstein, nudge. They have behavioral scientists behind all of this. You are being played like a cheese in a maze, like a piece of cheese in a maze, and you are the mouse. Earlier this year, a Rasmussen survey divided respondents between elites and the general public. They defined elites as Americans who have at least one postgraduate degree and earn over $150,000 a year. They also polled a separate group of what they called super elites, who were graduates of Ivy League and other elite colleges. Here's what they found. 47% of elites and 55% of super elites believe the government allows Americans, quote, too much individual freedom. Now, this is astounding. What has happened to the liberal part of a liberal left?
Wow. And we've also got reaction. I still can't believe she said it. I guess I can believe she said this. Because, well, here, let's go to the Trump reaction direct. Okay, this is Donald Trump. He posted this on X. Comrade Kamala Harris sees that she's losing and losing badly, especially after stealing the race from crooked Joe Biden. So now she's increasingly raising her rhetoric, going so far as to call me Adolf Hitler and anything else that comes to her warped mind. She is a threat to democracy and not fit to be president of the United States, and her polling so indicates. There's President Trump reacting directly. I do have, let's see, here's Scott Jennings. Here's CNN. This is what they said on CNN about this.
In this country, right? It probably will shock Kamala Harris and the rest of her campaign staff to learn that there are incumbent Democrat U.S. senators in this country right now running television ads touting all their work with this modern-day Hitler. I wonder if Kamala Harris tonight in our town hall meeting will call for them to take these ads off the air, touting their work with this Hitler. I mean, if he were really Hitler, if he were really a threat to democracy, not a single Democrat in this country would be running ads touting their work with Donald Trump. Now, it probably will shock.
So, a lot of fallout from this statement that she made. And I think what's most shocking is she did it in an official capacity. So, like I said, when I saw this initially, I watched this and I said, okay, what's she saying? I heard she said it. So I started looking for it. And then I see the video and I see that she's standing in her official capacity. Now, this is normally what you would consider campaign rhetoric. But the fact even Glenn Beck brought it up, she's saying this in her official capacity. This is the vice president's office declaring that Hitler is on his way. Unbelievable. I think this is only going to have further implications. Here's Piers Morgan. I can't believe he said, Kamala's playing the Trump Hitler card is so lame. It's one of the many reasons she will lose. Even Piers Morgan knows the truth. So, consider this. A sitting vice president using official government resources comparing her political opponent to Hitler. Marjorie Taylor Greene said it perfectly. This kind of rhetoric could get someone killed. But here's what I want to know from you. Is this desperate move a sign that they know something about the polling that we don't? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's decode what's really happening here. All right, let's jump into the chat. Get your immediate reactions on this. Okay, Red Wave USA. Kamala failed every interview. Fact. She is losing, says Coffee Girl. Eric Clybourne. Using the VP podiums like adding an exclamation mark on her words. If it's a violation of the Hatch Act, what measures can be taken? Well, let's see someone get indicted for using the Hatch Act. It doesn't happen. But I'm sure if somebody on Trump's side did it, they would have wasted no time in executing some Hatch Act violation. Internal polling for the Dems is not good. Pothead Kenny says we know they will tamper. All right, let's get to segment number. Yes. This is huge. We got a lot to unpack in this piece. A lot to unpack. Okay. My fellow Americans, what I'm about to share with you isn't just a policy proposal, it's a revolution. Donald Trump just unveiled what might be his boldest plan yet, completely eliminating the federal income tax. Think about that for a moment. The same system that's been draining your paycheck since 1913, gone, replaced with tariffs, just like our founding fathers intended. And the establishment is in absolute panic mode. And when you hear the details, you'll understand why. Now, check this out. Are you listening? Our country's national debt has surpassed $35 trillion. The U.S. is borrowing just to pay back the interest that we owe, further deepening us into a hole. Meanwhile, gold has surpassed $2,400 an ounce. Smart money is shifting out of paper to promissory notes into what the Constitution says should only be deemed as real money, gold and silver. So if you have funds sitting in a low-interest bank account or 401k IRA retirement account, you need to call my friends at Global Gold Investments, America's leading conservative precious metals dealer, and receive absolutely free their new 2024 Protect Your Wealth and Retirement Guide. The number's right there. You see it on the screen, 888-700-4148. Mention Next News and receive their 5-star customer treatment along with a complimentary portfolio analysis. Operators are standing by. Call that number, 888-700-4148, or visit IRAGoldproof.com. Remember, if you don't have gold, then you don't have wealth. All right, friends, we are just 12 days out from the most consequential election of our lifetime. Early polling right now shows that Trump is leading in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin by points, multiple points, a hair. It's a big deal. Okay, Arizona 50-48, for example, right there. Now, this is the big news of the day. Even the New York Times putting out this headline, Trump flirts with the ultimate tax cut, no income taxes at all. Now, if you know me, if you know any of my earlier activist work, you know that I worked with Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo was one of the first major Hollywood stars, Hollywood players to call for the end of the income tax, the end of the IRS, along with Congressman Ron Paul. I've got some clips here to take us back about, with Aaron Russo talking about the IRS, even part of his interview with an IRS commissioner from his movie, America, Freedom to Fascism. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if it wasn't for Aaron Russo. Let me just make that very, very clear. So, Health Ranger, he says, Trump's getting closer to my suggestion, end all federal income tax, all personal income, period. Now, of course, we know that Trump has already talked about ending tax on tips, ending tax on overtime, ending tax on Social Security. Well, why not just throw it all out? No tax on anything. Trump considering ending all federal income taxes, replacing them with tariffs. If he does this, he will go down in history as the greatest president since George Washington. David Harris Jr., who I met again at Mar-a-Lago on Tuesday. He posted this. Everyone needs to watch this clip of Trump talking about eliminating the federal income tax to some guys in the Bronx. Watch how captivated they are. Let's go back to that moment, and then we're going to deconstruct some more reaction on this announcement.
No, there is a way. With all this extra revenue we're going to be bringing into the country. So do you believe at some point in time we could find a way, once the country's back on its feet and getting enough revenue and paid off our debt, do you think it's possible to find a way to eliminate federal taxes?
There is a way.
And how do you feel about it?
You know, in the old days, when we were a smart country, in the 1890s and all, this is when the country was relatively the richest it ever was. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now we have income taxes, and we have people that are dying. They're paying tax, and they don't have the money to pay the tax. No, in the old days, 1890, 1880, we had so much money, they had to set up committees, blue ribbon committees, how to spend our wealth. We had no idea how to spend it with so much money. Then we went to the income tax system, and the rest is sort of history. But no, there is a way. I mean, if what I'm planning comes out, it's a great question, by the way.
Everyone could attain the American
sophisticated cat, you know.
Everyone could attain the American dream if it wasn't for the high cost, the burden of high taxes, and we're taxed at every step of the way. When we make it, when we spend
regulations. And regulations. So I cut more regulations in 4 years than any other president by 4 times. Yeah, let's go.
So that was when he was in that Bronx barbershop. And now the idea is percolating to the surface. Peter Schiff, 3 hours ago, he said, now real Donald Trump is advocating eliminating the income tax, completely replacing it with tariffs, which was how the federal government was funded prior to 1913. In fact, the 16th Amendment was ratified precisely to replace tariffs on the middle class with income taxes on the rich. However, in 1913, the federal government spent less than 2% of GDP. Today, it spends over 24% of GDP. It's impossible to fund the massive federal government we have now with the indirect tax system we had then. If Trump wants to return to the tax system we had prior to 1913, he would need to eliminate all government programs enacted since then. That would really make America great again. Well, I think he's on his way. Where should we go? Well, let's hear Donald Trump talk about tariffs with Dave Ramsey. It explains the whole income tax versus tariffs, and then we're going to go to Aaron Russo.
We have so much fun. The word tariff to me is a very beautiful word because it can save our country, truly. And yet, I think because of graft, because of a lot of consulting payments and other things that given by other countries, we have so much fighting with politicians on using it. I saved our steel industries by putting tariffs on steel that China came in and dumped. And you know what they do? They dump and dump and dump. Everybody goes out of business. Then they buy those businesses very cheap, and then they raise the prices to higher than they ever were. That's one of the many benefits that they have if they want to do it. But by putting tariffs on, as an example, in the furniture business in North Carolina, it was so vibrant, and they stole our business. And they charge us, if you wanted to build a furniture place, if you want to sell your furniture in China, they won't take it. But if you want to build a plant in China to make furniture in China using their labor, they open it. We're doing the same thing. But a lot of people are, oh, well, we don't want to have tariffs. The country was at the richest point in its history in the 1890s. It was all tariffs. If you looked at William McKinley as an example, he was a big tariff president. They had committees that were put in charge of what to do with the money. We were taking in so much money. And McKinley would say, why should we let other people come in and steal our factories and steal our workers and steal our jobs? And why shouldn't we benefit? And he tariffed the other countries. And we made so much, and then they went to the income tax system later on. But they would actually they had a blue ribbon committee. Our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. And this blue ribbon committee was set up to determine how can we spend all of this money. And they took it in through tariffs. But we can turn our country around, make it strong, and then guard it with tariffs.
Amen. Now, I firmly believe that this man right here on your screen, Aaron Russo, the late Aaron Russo, this was filmed shortly before he passed away. And Aaron Russo, he was my mentor. He was my friend. And before he passed away, he said, Gary, I need you to take this message and run with it. And that's what we've been doing ever since. We had a website called restoretherepublic.com. It was like a Facebook clone. We were organizing patriots. It just became too much to manage. And then when the election came around, the 2012 election came around, we got behind Ron Paul. We were already behind Ron Paul in 2008. And then with Aaron Russo and his film, I firmly believe that if it wasn't for Russo, we wouldn't be seeing Donald Trump in the White House today, because the messages that we're seeing from back then, from Aaron Russo to Ron Paul, to the Tea Party, to the Ron Paul Revolution, to the Ron Paul campaign, moving forward, it really created this groundswell of populism that I do firmly believe started with Aaron Russo and Ron Paul. So now let's take a look at this. This is Aaron Russo discussing the IRS and the Federal Reserve System.
Right? Now, so then in 1913, they bring the Federal Reserve System into being. Right? And now you have this Federal Reserve System, which then in 1913 got the right to create money for the government. When before that, the government created its own money. Now the government, when it needed money, had to borrow it from this private bank called the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank owned by individuals, incorporated in Delaware. And so what happens is now the government borrows money from them to fund the government. Then the government says, well, we have to pay these people interest. How are we going to pay them interest? Let's impose a tax on the labor of the American people, which never existed before, to pay the interest to the bankers.
In fact, in 1980, Ronald Reagan said not one red cent of your income tax money goes to run the country. It all goes to the Federal Reserve.
Well, it was the Grace Commission report that said that not one nickel goes to the infrastructure of the country. You know,
I guess Reagan quoted that. Then,
right. So. And so, but the point I'm trying to make is that by creating this Federal Reserve System, the government now became dependent on these private banks for money, and they started taxing us. You see, and so now what happens is that in 1935, I believe it was, Social Security started. And they gave you Social Security cards, said not to be used for identification, the Social Security number right on the card, right? And through Social Security, they started deducting money out of your paycheck. That was the first time they were ever could take money out of your paycheck, because people agreed to it because they thought it was going to their retirement fund. And so then when they instituted the income tax again, they started taking money out of your paycheck because Social Security could do it. So then they could do it again. You see what I'm saying?
And so now they've even taken control of the tax payment itself. I mean, literally like you're a slave. They're
Right.
taking it right there when you make it.
Exactly.
They don't even trust the public enough to go
send them
and
a
pay it
check.
themselves, you know?
Right. So they take it out automatically because they know people aren't going to want to pay it. So what's happened is that through the implementation of the Federal Reserve System, the government has become vested in these bankers, and they get their money from the bankers. And so then they impose a tax on us, which makes us more slaves, makes it more difficult for us to survive, right? Giving them more profits. And now what's happened is that through the Federal Reserve System, the bankers have pretty much taken control of our government. It doesn't matter Republican and Democrat anymore, because they're both the same. Neither one of them are talking about shutting down the Federal Reserve System or stopping the payment of taxes, you know, or any of the big issues that face Americans, right? So I had a friend, Nick Rockefeller, okay, who was one of the Rockefeller family, and he, when I was running for governor in Nevada, he came to me, introduced himself to me through an attorney, and we became friends. We started talking about things, and I learned an awful lot from Mr. Rockefeller. And one of the things that we used to talk about was the ultimate plan of the banking industry, what they wanted to accomplish. And the goals of the banking industry, not just the Federal Reserve System, but the private banks in Germany and England, all over Italy, all over the world, they all work together. They're all central banks, and they're all part of the Communist Manifesto. You know, central banking is one of the major planks of the Communist Manifesto. We talk about America being a capitalistic country, but yet at the same time we have a central bank that plans everything for us, right? And the graduated income tax is another plank of the Communist Manifesto, right? So right there you have two major planks of the Communist Manifesto that have been brought in because of the Federal Reserve System, okay? So the ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one-world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one-world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right?
So Russo goes further. We've also got, and again, I owe my entire existence to this man, and God rest his soul. There's no question that he was put on this earth for this very moment. And we're seeing Donald Trump start to enact these visions that we have been fighting for so long. I've got some more on Aaron Russo. That you need to see his film America, Freedom to Fascism. Came out back in 2007, I believe it was. So it's an older film. You can find it on YouTube. You need to watch it, but it lays out the whole plan. And it featured Ron Paul. And in that moment, it featured Ron Paul. It featured Ron Paul and really put Ron Paul on the map nationwide. He was just a little Texas congressman with some big ideas, and Aaron Russo helped amplify those ideas that we're seeing Donald Trump start to put into play.
I want to send a clear message to every boardroom, every executive suite across America. If you scam your customers, exploit your employees, pollute our environment, or rip off taxpayers, we will find ways to hold you accountable.
That was Hillary Clinton earlier today in Toledo, Ohio, slamming Donald Trump, saying he's not releasing his tax returns because he hasn't paid any income taxes, and the New York Times story basically points to that. However, my next guest says that's not illegal, but the U.S. having even an income tax is. He's former presidential candidate, former Republican Congressman Dr. Ron Paul. He's with me now. How is the income tax unconstitutional?
Well, you know, it was ruled unconstitutional during the Civil War period because there was no explicit authorization for it. Then they came along with the 16th Amendment trying to give it the authority, and some people will argue about that. And it's also arguing on whether the 16th Amendment was legitimately passed. But let's assume that's never going to change. The real unconstitutionality of the tax code and the income tax is the way they collect it, because it is assumed you're guilty until proven innocent, and that turns the Constitution on its head. So it's a method of collecting revenues in a very unconstitutional fashion. I remember in one presidential debate, one of the Republican candidates was sort of lamenting, you know, about half of the people don't pay any income tax. And I said, we're halfway there, because really, if you're living in a free society, the founders didn't intend it. If you had the proper size government, there would be no income. The real problem with the income tax is the assumption is made that the government owns you, controls you, and controls 100% of your income, but permits you to keep a certain percentage if you obey the rules and fill out the forms and make yourself vulnerable to everything the government does. But in a free society, you should have, in the natural rights, you own your life, you ought to own all the fruits of your labor, and the whole country would be better off if we had a tax system like that.
Dr. Paul, the attitude is that the U.S. government owns everything that you earn. That's the attitude. And you point out the IRS is, you know, you're right that you're guilty until proven innocent. There's no, due process, really. I mean, the IRS does try to, settle tax disputes, but it's really tough and it's so arduous. And, the issue of fair share, Hillary Clinton really trying to, double down hard on this. I I mean, the U.S. tax system is already really progressive. 2/3 of U.S. households get more in government benefits than they pay into the system in taxes, rather. I mean, it isn't progressivity. I mean, I think you've said Karl Marx would love the U.S. tax code, how progressive it is.
Marx designed it that way. His second plank is a progressive income tax. His fairness business is a bunch of baloney, really, because what they're saying is if you don't pay your fair share, then you're not participating. But how is it fair that the government arbitrarily says it's fair that if you take something from one group who are productive and give it to another group because maybe they're on the take from a government contract and doing some useless things? And you know, we do complain about the welfare state taking from one and give it to the other. And I, at one time in my life, believed welfare was food stamps, you know. But welfare goes to big corporations very frequently. And if you put the military spending and all the other things involved, it's a very unfair system. So for Hillary to say it's unfair for somebody not to pay more of their hard-earned dollars to an unfair government and a political system that's there just designed to take care of the special interests.
Yeah, Hillary keeps talking about fair share, Dr. Paul, and people out there are saying, well, what about Solyndra, right? All the money blown on green energy policies wasted there. Where are the shovel?
So I mean, this argument has been going on with the green energy and all that, but I'm so happy to see that this is finally like a real. We're in the last days of this election, and this is a huge development. But again, it has deep roots, and I'm taking you down this memory lane, if you will. My personal involvement with this man, Aaron Russo, and Ron Paul, and the Ron Paul revolution and the campaign, it's very dear to my heart, you guys. You don't even understand how much this means to me to see this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get broken up, but this is the interview from his film, Russo's film, American Freedom to Fascism, from back in 2007. He's sitting down with the IRS commissioner, a former IRS commissioner. And Aaron told me that this movie would not have been made if this interview didn't happen. This interview was an absolutely critical part of the film. And I'm going to share some of it with you right now, but I want you to make sure that you write down the name of that film if you haven't seen it yet, and look it up on YouTube. It should still be there. But here is a portion of that.
Not mandatory.
And former chief counsel, all those guys, I think, can answer your question about, where in the tax law it says that you have to pay taxes.
Wow, good news, I thought. So I called Sheldon Cohen because he used to be the IRS commissioner. He wrote the tax code, and he was also general counsel to the IRS. He is a true expert, and I couldn't find a better person to answer my questions. He graciously agreed to my interview. The reason I'm doing this documentary is because there are many people in America today who believe that there's no law that requires them to pay an income tax or file a 1040. And there are many people going to jail for it, fighting over it.
The Internal Revenue Code is authorized by the 16th Amendment.
I think it should be clarified. I think government should be transparent to the people. Why doesn't the IRS commissioner sit down with them and just explain it in clear English? Why?
I don't think they really care. They don't think. I think they're just playing word games.
You don't think they're sincere people?
No, I don't think they're sincere people.
What does voluntary compliance mean? And why does the IRS code say it's voluntary to comply, not mandatory?
That's a word euphemism we use. We use voluntary compliance when we talk about traffic signals. Most people at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you stop at a red light?
Yeah.
Is there a cop there?
Well, sometimes I don't.
Well, I do, and most of us do. Most of us do.
Right.
But that's voluntary compliance.
That was a complete perversion of logic. Traffic laws state that it is mandatory to stop at a red light. The IRS code says it's voluntary to comply. Mandatory and voluntary are the complete opposite of each other. Yet he wants us to believe that they mean the same thing.
Your income tax is 100% voluntary tax, and your liquor tax is 100% enforced tax. The situation is different.
So can the government criminally prosecute somebody of information put on their 1040?
Yes.
Right, so doesn't that violate the Fifth Amendment?
No.
But the Fifth Amendment says I don't have to do anything that incriminates myself.
Well, it doesn't incriminate you to put your income down.
But you said before I could be put in jail for it.
The commissioner wants us to believe that although the IRS demands that you fill out the 1040 and you can go to jail for it, that they are not violating your Fifth Amendment rights of self-incrimination. That is absurd.
Isn't it true that the word income is not defined anywhere in the Internal Revenue Code?
The law says that the government has a right to tax income from any source derived.
So, but the word income is not defined in the code. It just says income without a definition of what income is.
That's right.
Correct?
Yeah.
But there are many different kinds of taxes. Well, how can an American citizen know what income is if the code doesn't define it? If they're paying an income tax...
Because the courts have all defined it.
Do you remember what constitutional attorney Edwin Vieira said?
The definition of income in the Constitution was given in the Eisner versus Montgomery case, and it turns on gains or profits that are made from some activity.
So the Supreme Court has ruled income is not wages, it's not labor, it's gain from corporate activity.
I believe that a man's labor is his private property.
That's your view, but it's not the law.
The Supreme Court's even said your labor is your private property. When I go to work for somebody, it's a trade. It's an even exchange. I do some work, you give me some money.
So this interview goes on and on to the point where the former IRS commissioner throws his hands up and quits the interview. Okay, so you need to find this movie. You need to go watch it because it sets the ground for everything that's happening right now with Donald Trump and this headline today from the New York Times. Trump flirts with the ultimate tax cut, no income taxes at all. And he gets it. As he said in that barbershop, as he said in that sit-down interview. So, my friends, things are changing, and they're changing for the better. And right now, we're seeing Donald Trump with the polls, and he's just blasting past Kamala Harris, and they are terrified. And add this to the top of the list. You know that the powers that be in Washington, they need the income tax to keep you in line. And if Donald Trump makes good on this, because let's see, he is the chief executive. Is there a mechanism that he could abolish the IRS with a stroke of a pen? Or is there more congressional legislation that has to be gone through? I don't know what the process would be to get rid of the income tax altogether. I mean, he's already talking about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. What's the mechanism to execute that vision? That's what my question is. So, again, there's a lot of backstory to this. This is a conversation that's been had for a long time, going back to the days when I'd be marching in the streets with my bullhorn and my burned DVDs, passing out copies of films that are revealing these truths. And now it's part of the national dialogue, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, of course, I was happy when I saw Ron Paul bringing it to the foreground in his two campaigns. But when we have Donald Trump, a man of his stature, in his third presidential campaign, leading in the polls, days away from an election, man, this really warms my heart. So patriots, this is not just about taxes. It's about returning to the vision that our founding fathers had for America. Trump is talking about a complete reset of how our government operates. No more IRS, no more income tax, just fair trade and America first. But here's what I want to know from you. Is America ready for this kind of revolutionary change? I think it's overdue, personally. But share your thoughts below. Let's talk about what this means for our future and yours. Okay, let's get to the chat room and see what you guys are saying about this. Okay. Wow. Went back in the stream. It's America, Freedom to Fascism. Yes, that's the name of the film. You need to watch it. It's an amazing, amazing film. Most of America is so tired of the evil in our lives today brought by the Democrats. It's way overdue. I agree. Yes, it is. I'm ready. It'd be great to get rid of our past taxes. Could I get a full refund of all the taxes I've paid? Wouldn't that be something? Okay. Let's get to our fourth segment of the night. There's a lot of clips in this. Some of them I've already posted to our X feed, but I want to share some of these highlights with you. Okay. All right, Patriots, I just returned from Mar-a-Lago, and let me tell you what I witnessed there on Tuesday night was extraordinary. UFC champions, Hollywood producers, business titans, all gathered for the premiere of The Man You Don't Know. And Patriots, I was there, shaking hands with President Trump himself, getting exclusive interviews you won't see anywhere else. And when Patrick Bet-David pulled me aside, what he said on camera explains exactly why they're terrified of Trump's return. Now, have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video that he made. I was shocked. He's in his 80s. He's still kicking butt. He's working out, staying active. What's even more shocking is that he's stronger. He can work out longer, has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. And, well, he did this by making one simple change. Now, Chuck says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing the same thing. She's never felt better. She says she's felt 10 years younger. Her body is leaner. She has more energy. Well, make sure you go watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/next or clicking the link below this video. You will not believe just how simple that it is. Okay, now let's jump into this because I'm going to share with you probably, as you can see by my post, probably the best moment of the night, besides shaking hands with real Donald Trump, was when Patrick Bet-David said this to me at the premiere.
COVID,
You said your father watches the Next News Network. Give a shout out to all the viewers, and your dad's watching right now.
My dad during COVID, you were one of the three guys he would watch. You have to watch what this man says. You have to watch what this man says. He was a viewer of you in 2020, 2021, 2022.
It was awesome. So, Papa Bet-David, this one's for you, man. I love you, and you have raised a good son. This guy's he's got a head on his shoulders. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to make that money, and he knows how to produce great content, educational content on his podcasts, on his YouTube channels, everything. So, I love what your son does, but I was even more honored to know that his father was telling him, son, you need to watch Gary Franchi of the Next News Network. And what's funny is that when I first saw Patrick on the red carpet, before we started rolling the camera, I wasn't wearing my glasses. And I introduced myself, and he goes, wait a minute, don't you normally wear glasses? And I'm like, oh, I said, oh boy. I said, that's awesome. That was really cool. And that's when he went in to tell me that his father watches me. And because I honestly did not know who Patrick Bet-David was before the pandemic, but we had interviewed a doctor that went mega viral, the late Dr. Rashid Buttar. And as I was tracking all the video and all of the like where all this, because it went so viral, it was everywhere. And then Dr. Rashid Buttar was doing interviews on every platform. And as I was searching, I found Patrick Bet-David interviewing him remotely. So I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So that's the first time that he got on my radar. And of course, you know, maybe that's why he interviewed him, because his father said, you need to watch this guy. And then he goes on Patrick Bet-David's show. Okay, so Papa Bet-David, you have raised a good man. All right, let's get to my second favorite. Well, they're both equally as great. All right, if you're watching right here, this is the moment that Donald Trump, because I'm standing there, I'm like right in the front, and I got my camera up on a stick, and I'm like right there. You can't miss me. Donald Trump walks up on the stage, and I reach my hand out and shake his hand right there. I was like, yes. And then later on, he looked at me, gave me a thumbs up and a nod. And my buddy Shane was standing behind him. We got some remarks from Shane. So let's jump into some of these reactions that we got from the red carpet. These are some really intimate conversations that we had with Juliana Pena, the UFC fighter, Donald Trump's best friend from school, high school roommate, Forgiato Blow, talking about things. We've got, if you want to see the full 12-minute speech, we'll play some of it here, but you can go to my X account. I've got it published there. We also, I believe we published it on the YouTube channel too. Yeah, I think it went like totally viral as well. Okay. And we got Patrick Bet-David's full remarks regarding Donald Trump and Vincent Oshana also, who works with Patrick Bet-David. He had some great things to say. So there's a lot to unpack. We've got the producer, we've got the studio head of the Global Ascension Studios. So much to unpack here. So let's just jump right to, this is Donald Trump's school friend.
Trump's and I feel like joking around to say I don't know why I'm here, but anyway, I'm here because I'm a friend of Donald Trump since our first year, my first year of high school, and I know him pretty well. We lived together in high school. He was my captain. And
what personal insights do you hope people will learn from this film that you know about Donald Trump?
That Donald Trump is here to do what he can do for the American people. I mean, you know, he doesn't need anything for himself. He doesn't need any great to make more of himself or put more money in the bank. What he needs is to see America turn into the place it needs to be, so that his kids and grandchildren and the rest of us have a better world. He sees the stupidity of the way things are running, and he has no choice. He has to either fix it or watch the world go down.
So the election is 14 days away. How critical is the legal landscape? We're looking at lawfare all over the place with the president. How do you think that's shaping voters' perception?
I think it works more for Donald Trump than it was against him. Yeah, you can say, aha, you're a felon, but everybody knows that it's nonsense. They know that it was a setup, and I think to a great extent they identify with it, or they see it and understand the injustice of it. It's just so wrong. Most of all, I think people are realizing that it's taking away, it's a diminishment of our freedoms in our country, that we're losing America. And I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that this is real.
That was Peter Tickton, Donald Trump's high school roommate. We've also got, this is Forgiato Blow. I was introduced to him after he did his Target commercial, his Target music video.
He did a good job. Well, man, I love Donald Trump because Donald Trump loves America. He's America first. He's family first. He's trying to save, whites, blacks, browns. He's uniting all different people. I think he gets a bad rap in 2020. Fake news really did a good job trying to paint him as a racist. That's why we got illegal immigrants out here, because it's not happening anymore. We got blacks out for Trump. Like I said, Spanish people out for Trump. Everybody's fighting for Trump. And I think this movie's going to be a great movie. I think it's going to open the eyes of a lot of things people haven't seen about Donald Trump.
What do you say to people with respect to the music industry and how it has the power to influence people? Because you use your music.
Music is the most listened to thing in the world. Like I'm saying, anybody's going through something, they're playing music. If they're hanging out, they're playing music. Music's always played everywhere. So anytime you can put politics in music, it's going to work. But there isn't something new. They've been putting politics in music for years. NWA was doing this stuff. Public Enemy was doing this stuff. Rap and country and all types of genres has always been part of, saying politics. It's just now they scrutinize it so much, right? Like, oh, this guy's a Trump rapper. This guy, Donald Trump on his chain and all this other stuff. It's not really about that. It's about Trump's name is so big. They've been rapping about Trump way before this whole stuff was going on. Every rapper talked about Trump. Every rapper wanted to be like Trump. Millions of these people who hated on Trump rapped about Trump at one time. So it's coming to the light now. That's all it is.
So Now, there's a lot of background noise, so I have to apologize for that. We did give people a microphone so that they could talk into it, but there was just so much background noise. Here's Juliana Pena. She's a friend of mine, actually, and she's the UFC champ right now, bantamweight champ. She just won her fight, and here's what I asked her. Juliana, what brings you out here to support President Trump? I mean, he's a fighter. You're a fighter.
Yes, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me is when I met him at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, he came up to me and he said, I am a big fan of what you're doing. I love what you're doing. You're doing amazing things. And I was like, wow, that really, it was genuine. You could tell that he actually has seen my fights, you know. He's a great supporter of the UFC, great supporter of Dana White. Those are my bosses. And so any friend of Dana is a friend of mine.
So we got 14 days until one of the most important days in American history. What message do you want to send to the American people for what you want them to do in these next 14 days to make a difference?
I want them to go out there and physically vote for Donald Trump. I refuse to believe that they are going to allow Kamala to steal another election. It can't happen, and they can ensure that by going out there to the polls and voting.
You recently won another belt. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We were watching the fight at home. And when you go into that ring, like, you get in your zone. What kind of zone do you think that Donald Trump is in right now?
I think Donald Trump has got his blinders on. He's not looking to the left. He's not looking to the right. He's looking right down the pipe, right down the clown's mouth, right down to the finish line. He's focusing on the business, focusing on the task at hand, and that's just Donald Trump in general. The man is all about standing on business, and I just enjoy those principles so much. He's a no BS kind of guy, and I think that that's kind of what our commonality is. I'm a no BS kind of person. I'm a no BS type of fighter, and so is Donald Trump.
14 days left. What's your message? What is the message?
Let's make America great again. I'm ready to make America great again. I'm ready to see it go back to the place where it was thriving back when he was in office. So let's make it.
Let's make America great again. Juliana Pena right there. I actually saw her fight in Las Vegas, and I have a photo of me and her and Angie and the belt. I've actually never shared this before. Here it is. There's me and Angie and Juliana. This was when she won the first time. Yeah, we are all Star Spangled Out. This was right after the fight. It was an amazing moment to be with her, and to have her be there at Mar-a-Lago was really something else. Let's go to, this is Christopher Martini. Christopher Martini is really unique about him because well, you'll hear him say it, but I actually interviewed him for one of his first movies he ever made years ago, when I was with when I was on broadcast television.
Probably the most Global Ascension Studios is the reason I'm here. You know, it's crazy. We're here in March, premiering The Relentless Patriot, and here we are back here in October with another movie. They like what I did with The Relentless Patriot, sort of telling the story of Scott Lebedo, who has taken a lot of heat for being a conservative artist, a Trump supporter. And they put their faith in me to direct this movie about possibly the most polarizing, controversial figure in the world right now. So a lot of pressure. The timeline was unbelievable. We finished this film. It's in theaters in less than 2 months. I don't know. I've been in the industry my whole life, and I don't know if that's ever been done. I'm sure some of those great guys back in the 40s probably did it, you know, when they were pumping out movies. But incredible. And, you know, when you make a movie, I always say that it's not because you know the subject matter inside out. The great thing about making movies is you can sort of sit with your subject matter and learn about them throughout the course of the movie, and then the movie changes as you're making it because you're learning more about the subject matter. That's the amazing amazing thing about making art. So, you know, I knew that I supported Trump when he ran. I voted for him in 2016. But the amazing thing is that, you know, and I knew I would support him after making this movie. But this movie really did show me that who he really is something completely different than what's being portrayed. There's always like a gray line in between, and you know, but hearing from sort of his family and his friends, the people that he raised and that he was closest to, and then these stories that we have in the film of the people that he helped, you can see that the truth is always somewhere in between. It's not what they're saying. It's sort of there's another side of that. And that's what this movie is we're showing the other side. So it was you know, as you can see with this film actually made our beliefs than actually
millions of viewers worldwide who appreciate the power of documentary filmmaking and politics.
Well, Next News is my favorite because of you, Gary. You were one of the first persons that, one of the first networks that interviewed me for my film Trooper. So I will always support you guys. I don't know if I answered the question, but you guys are amazing. So you'll be with me till the end, and I hope likewise. So thank you guys.
Thank you. That was awesome. That was so cool. Let's go to Patrick Bet-David's remarks because he was on fire. Let's go to him.
Beautiful property.
What brought you out here to support President Trump and this film?
Anytime you get invited to Mar-a-Lago, this is a beautiful property. I love beautiful properties. You want to come here. We've been here many times. We do actually private events here once a year. But I'm also very interested in what this documentary is all about. Anytime there's good documentaries, whether it's about him, Sound of Freedom, others, we're curious about it. And then obviously we're 14 days away from possibly the most important election of my lifetime. I'm 46 years old, and these are strange times, and how we vote in 2024 could dictate what direction America goes. So those are some of the reasons why I'm here tonight.
So with the, you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You look at money. What is Joe Biden doing in this economy, and why aren't people paying attention on the left?
Why aren't people paying attention on the left? Unfortunately, you have to know we are at a point right now where there are the people that no matter what Biden and Kamala do, they're going to vote for it. They're not changing their minds. No matter what Trump does, there's a camp that's going to vote for it, no matter what. The community I'm interested in is the undecided and the independent voters. To that community, I have a very simple message to give. I'm an entrepreneur. I hire people all the time, and I do interviews, okay? So imagine you're running a company. This company's been around for roughly 250 years, okay? You have two employees that want this next executive job. Both of them have worked for you for 4 years. I can go to my CIO and get all the data of how one of the candidates performed during the 4 years and the other one. When I look at one of the candidates, no war, the economy was great for white, for black, for Hispanic, you name it. It was at peace, we're having fun, things are going good. On the other side, the 4 years of resume, we're losing money, not safe, families don't feel safe, the security in our building isn't secure. You want to talk about borders and immigration. A ton of wars are going on that shouldn't be taking place. Which of those two candidates you think you want to hire for the job? It's a very easy hire. This is probably the easiest hire a person will ever make. And everybody watching this, you are all investors. You're paying the money. You don't own the company. We're all shareholders of this country, right? We get to decide who we want to be the CEO of the company. We have 4 years resume to choose. The easiest votes possibly in the history of America is 2024.
You said your father watches the Next News Network. Give a shout out to all the viewers, and your dad's watching right now.
My dad during COVID, you were one of the three guys he would watch. You have to watch what this man says. You have to watch what this man says. He was a viewer of you in 2020, 2021, 2022.
I could watch that 100 times. That was so great. That was a beautiful moment for me. Here's Vincent Oshana dropping some mad truth bombs.
And the more
What brings you here? Why are you supporting President Trump? Are you supporting President Trump?
100% supporting President Trump. I was in the United States Air Force. I got out, was chasing my dream in Hollywood, moved to Hollywood, and the moment this man announced his presidency, it was just attack. And being an outsider myself, I knew right off the jump what was going on, because as we all know, if you go on YouTube and see videos of Donald Trump in the early 80s, everybody loved him, everybody praised him, Letterman, everybody, The View, they were all kissing him and loving him. The moment he said, I'm going to drain the swamp and fight for this country, they all said nope. And I say this all the time. When you drain a swamp, the alligators, the snakes, they don't leave quietly, and they haven't. But he sacrificed it all for us, and there's anything that's going to show a lighter side of the president, I'm gonna watch and I'm going to support.
We got 14 days until the most important date in American history, next to Independence Day.
Yes.
What's your message to the American voter, or people who are on the fence?
Get the hell off the fence. That's exactly what I tell them. I go, this is not the time to just sit this one out and let it happen, because it's not a cliche. It's not just a saying to throw away. This is the most important election of our lifetime. We know exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to shut us all up. They're trying to take your guns. They're bringing in 20 million people here to replace us. Okay? And these are the Democrats, the same party that is pro just abortion. Let's just kill all these unborn babies, are the same ones complaining about the declining birth rate. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. That's Bill Clinton did that the other day. So I just think it's too important. Get out there, tell your friends, bring a group. You have to go out there and freaking vote. Okay, we've had 4 years of Trump. We've had 4 years of Biden. Give me the case study. One is horrible. And guess what? And enough of this whole party, whatever. It's not about a party. It's about America. It's for the future. And it's get off that fence, get in the middle, and go vote.
What do you say to people who are so dug in for Biden, Kamala Harris? They're oblivious to the financial crisis that they've placed us in. What do you say to those people?
I tell them to just take a step back and get out of your bubble. Go actually listen to the other side. Hear the other argument. Hear other podcasts. Hear other point of views, because the numbers don't lie. The numbers do not lie. Okay, the country's not in good shape, and again, they're trying to destroy us from within. And it's like you have to wake up. Talking to the other people. Tom, what's that saying that you say about numbers?
Words scream. Words talk. Numbers scream.
Words talk. Numbers scream. And they're screaming in these people's faces, but they don't want to listen. So it's your job. It's your duty out there. If you have these people and you have these friends, you have to wake them up. I know that they're dug in, but you have to try to break through that freaking that brain of theirs that's just so brainwashed. You have to show them the examples, and like he said, the truth is right in front of your face, and they can't deny the truth.
You can't deny the truth, but they have to get out of their bubble, and a lot of people are afraid to do that. Let's get this is the producer and the head of the studio. That's Jack Lombardi. We've also got David J. Harris Jr. Let's go to Sean. I'm sorry, Shane. Why did I say Sean? Shane Bouvet. And I wouldn't have been at this event if it wasn't for Shane. Do you hope you're out here? You're in the film, The Man You Don't Know. So as people feature in the film with your father, what aspects of President Trump's character do you hope will resonate with voters in these final days?
His heart. And that's what I believe this film is going to capture. I had people that were amazing, like Gary Franchi, Jack Lombardi, my mom, my dad, who's been supportive along the way, and that's all I want to do is capture the heart of our president, 45th president, our 47th president of the United States.
So how do you think personal stories like yours can make a crucial difference in voter decisions with just 14 days left?
Well, it just shows that Donald Trump believes that every American, you can be at McDonald's and you can volunteer and rise above expectations and become somebody. And he believes that the forgotten men and women are no longer forgotten in America.
You're out here. Amen. Amen. Forgotten men and women are no longer forgotten in America. Here is David Harris Jr. What brought you here, and why are you supporting President Trump today?
Well, I think anything that I can do to help shine light on who the man Donald J. Trump is hugely important. The Democrat army is the media. The liberal mainstream media is the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party. America loved Donald Trump when he did The Apprentice. America loved Donald Trump. Rappers loved Donald Trump. Rappers wanted to be Donald Trump. It wasn't until he decided to run for president as a Republican that all the hate started, and all the vitriol started, and all the twisting of who he was. So I think a movie like this, to highlight who he is as a man and who he's been as a man, is hugely important for Americans to truly understand why he is the right person to be president of the United States.
So with the election just 14 days away, what do you see as the biggest threat to its integrity, and how can voters respond?
I think voters need to respond. They need to turn out in person, vote. They need to make sure that they absentee, turn in their absentee. We've got to show up in so much force that it's too big to rig, because we understand 2020, we know what they did, we can't let them do it again. We've got to make sure that the cackling comrade Kamala Harris is not the one that's going to lead this nation, because she will lead it directly into communism. She'll want to destroy, murder, dismember babies in the womb, and she'll want to take away religious liberties and our freedoms and our Second Amendment rights. So we've got to go the other direction. The last 3.5 years has been absolutely horrendous for this country. America needs new leadership. We need President Donald Trump.
Ain't that the truth? We need President Donald Trump. Let's go to the studio heads.
Was making some content or not producing content in certain areas or arenas. We wanted to fill some voids in together, and we decided to come together and do so. So, we both stand behind President Trump and his values. So we really we're excited to have the world see this movie.
So this is on the left is Arthur Sarkeesian. He's a big Hollywood producer, and on the right is Joshua Masciello, right? You see that, Josh? Oh, it's Joshua. See, I heard people calling him Josh, right? But I called him Josh, and he said, call me Joshua. I don't know, whatever. Joshua Masciello. Okay, so given the current woke climate in Hollywood...
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Armenian.
Okay, so Patrick Bet-David crashes the interview, and Joshua introduces him, his producer friend Arthur here, as an Armenian, because they both, I guess, Armenian.
Yes, really?
He's going to come around 9:30. Movies and creativity needs to be free. There shouldn't be so limits, or you have to have this many actors or this kind of. When you're creating, Richard Dreyfuss said it best. You can't put limitations on creativity. You have to let it be what it is. That's what we're here to do. We're here to take media back.
Okay, so we got 14 days until the biggest date in American history, next to the 4th of July. What's it going to take to get this country back on track? Hopefully your film is obviously part of that.
It's going to take Americans opening their minds and not being brainwashed and seeing what's really going on. That's what it's going to take. They have to understand what is in fact happening and what they're being fed and what's not true versus truths. The truth will set you free. And I think if people realize the truth, then the right man will be in the White House, and then we'll start to get law and order, and then everything back in place where it needs to be. There's too many people who are insane running the asylum.
Speaking of which, yes, what do you think about how Hollywood is pushing these narratives and how it's poisoning the mind of the American people? Of course, you have media in Los Angeles, and New York, mainstream press, MSNBC, CNN. Like, what is that doing? Like that narrative that they keep pushing. When I turn on those news channels, and I just see them spewing, they're saying that Republicans are going to burn down election centers. This is what they're saying on MSNBC. I mean, as a man in the press, in the media, entertainment, when you see that, what do you think?
I honestly think it's disgusting to do that to the American public or to any public, to try and brainwash them. And unfortunately, there is this power from them that they try to force it down your throat. Some people that are above it don't buy it. And a lot of people who do, I think they will change their minds. They should, because otherwise we have nothing left. And I'm not political, I'm just saying, I've been here since 1977, just in my business, Hollywood side, making movies. The way these movies were being made as to what's happening this past year, is absolutely ridiculous.
We see you now. So, you can see the full thing, the full interviews on my X channel, and I think we also uploaded them here. Let's jump in. Wait, do I have? Let's go to Jack Lombardi.
Tell us, we're here with Jack Lombardi. We are at the Man You Don't Know. Jack, tell us why you're here and why you support President Trump.
Well, the character assassinations that they've done on President Trump, the propaganda, the manufactured prejudice that they've, orchestrated against President Trump. The truth had to be told about him and his good character and who the man really is. And, I'm here with Shea Bouvet, who is in the movie. He's also, he has his new book, A Man Misunderstood, which I believe you spoke about on your show. And it just tells the truth about President Trump and who he really is. Why I support President Trump? Well, he stands up for the common working man, the regular Joe, the regular person who just wants to go to work, do their job, get paid, pay a little bit of taxes, and be left heck alone. That's why I support President Trump. Also, he's been somebody that's been able to negotiate in such a way that it brings the power back to the state as the Constitution originally set forth for the United States. That was the standard, and we're bringing it back to the United States to what it was supposed to be, and always its great glory. That's why he says, "Make America Great Again."
Amen. Let's go to the part where Donald Trump shows up. We were waiting for a long time, and the place went nuts when he showed up. Oh, man, we got so many clips here. We've got Act for America founder here. We've got Siggy Flicker. She was the sponsor of the event. And I know we're already running long in this segment. We've even got Miss Wisconsin 2005, and she shared her story. Again, I've posted these all on our X account, and I want you guys to go check it out. If you're not following us on X, you need to do that. Let's go to the moment when Trump shows up.
He was unconscious. Remember the old one, then the finger starts to move, and then the arm, then he puts them away. But I just want to thank everybody, very, very special. So I have to see this because I've heard it from so many people. Now here's the good news. What did you think, Ziggy? What did you think?
You had to start, your children did an amazing job. Kai, your granddaughter was perfection. This man brought tears to every single person.
Frank Malone did a great job, unbelievable job. That's great. That's great. Thank you. But the topic was easy. It's you. So that's it.
Here's the good news. We got to win.
Yes.
We got 14 days.
We will win. We will win.
14 days, and we're leading substantially, but we cheat like hell. Okay, I told the Hulkster, I said, Hulk, we're leading, but they cheat. He's never heard about cheaters. They're innocent. He's a very innocent man. But they do, and the early votes are in, as you know, the very early ones, and it's 4 days. You know, I think it's amazing, actually. North Carolina was devastated. I was there yesterday, devastated, like you wouldn't believe it. I was there right after it. I followed it in, and you couldn't even see anything. It was so bad. And now I got a glimpse of it yesterday and the day before, and you've never seen anything like it. Houses that are no footings, no anything, everything just wiped out. And yet, it was just announced that they set a record in voting. Think of this. They set a record in the last 6 elections. They voted more with no houses. The people are, I don't even know how they got back onto the land. And yet they set an all-time record for votes cast. Who would think that, right? When they literally, I mean, they've lost their house, and they've lost members of their family in many cases. Many cases, a lot of people lost. They're still lost. I mean, it's, you know what that means. And they set the highest record, and that's an area that's a Trump area, and we're doing very well there. But it's pretty amazing to think a thing like that could happen.
The full interview or the full presentation of Trump's remarks is on our YouTube channel. It's also on our X account. Make sure you go and check those out. And, you know, go see this film. It's out in theaters on Friday, and you can go to Fandango. You can look it up. You'll find it. And take 2 friends to go see the film. You need to do that. And again, such an amazing moment to see that film. I watched it. Angie watched it, and I'll tell you, I probably cried like 5 times. Okay, I cry enough on this channel, but when I watched that movie, it really touched my heart. And I went up to Christopher Martini after the film, and I said, my only critique is that I wanted more. I wanted more. But there were so many stories, and they had so much time to fill it that, you know, it's like you can only fit so much into a 90-minute documentary film. But the fact that they were able to highlight so many individual stories and individual people and events that Donald Trump had a personal hand on will really open your eyes to the true character of this man. A lot of stories you've never heard before. So make sure you go check it out on Friday. Take some friends, because this movie could really change a lot of hearts. And that's what we need to do. We need to change the heart of America, because there's too much hate. And we see it coming from the left. We see it coming from the media. We see the words that they're spreading. Kamala Harris, using her vice presidential platform to smash Donald Trump as some kind of Hitler character. It just makes no sense. What do you say, Donald Trump?
I love the First Amendment. Nobody loves it better than me. Nobody. Who uses it more than I do?
Exactly. So from Trump's high school roommate to Miss Wisconsin's emotional revelation about how Trump saved her life, the stories coming out of this premiere are devastating to the mainstream narrative. Next News Network was there to capture it all, but here's what I want to know from you. Why is Hollywood suddenly willing to tell the truth about Donald Trump now? What has changed? And how do you think this film is going to impact the election? Share your thoughts below, and let's discuss what this means for 2024. All right. I think that was a little long, right, Brian? That was like 30 minutes or so. I don't have much time left. I've got to get this next segment out, and then I've got to get out the door. Okay, let's get guys, I would love to get your real-time reactions here, but I can't spend any additional time right now. We got a big segment coming up right here with Donald Trump's remarks and Tucker's remarks in Georgia, turning point. Ladies and gentlemen, something historic happened in Georgia. Tucker Carlson took the stage and delivered what might be his most powerful message yet, calling Trump's coming victory a triumph of the human spirit over the machine. The energy in the arena, the crowds, the passion, it was a glimpse into what terrifies the establishment most. And when Trump asked that simple question, are you better off now than 4 years ago? The response was deafening. Now, if you suffer from any type of daily pain, I need you to listen to this message very carefully. And what we know about the root cause of pain is changing forever. As we age, aches and pains are natural and we're all searching for effective ways to relieve pain without side effects and addiction. Canalidine has become the go-to pain reliever for over 1 million Americans and hundreds of professional athletes. Try Canalidine risk-free for a full 90 days. You've got nothing to lose. You are days away from finally beating pain forever. So go to trycano.com/NNN and see for yourself. Okay, we've got lots to unpack in this segment of the Raw feed. So let's jump right into it. Here's that question that Donald Trump asked.
Asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I was very unanimous, wasn't it? The answer is no. By any standard, the answer is no. And I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals into our country. And I will bring back the American dream. I'm going to bring it back very quickly.
And man, that was just one moment.
Vice President. After all the catastrophes she has caused, Kamala Harris can't say one thing that you'd do differently. You saw that? What would you do differently? I can't think of anything. This is the worst president in the history of our country and the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Nothing but truth right there. Oh, and he goes in about 60 minutes. Remember when they edited that interview?
A question. Licensing, it says they have licensing says they have to be honest. They gave her a question. She gave an answer that was from a loony bin. They said we can't have that. They took the answer out in its entirety, threw it away, and they put another answer in. And I think it's the biggest scandal in broadcasting history. That's what I think. It's election interference fraud.
It sure is. I want to play for you some stuff that Tucker Carlson said because it was just remarkable. I mean, Tucker Carlson, I mean, obviously we can play clips of Donald Trump, and it's beautiful. I mean, look at this crowd. Look at this crowd. It is filled to the rafters. Yeah. RFK Jr. was there as well. They prayed for Donald Trump. Look at that beautiful photograph. I mean, here is... Okay, let's go to this moment. We've got a couple clips here. Let's listen.
Seeks to oppress. It doesn't make it any less real. Donald Trump's victory will be a triumph of the human spirit. It will be a triumph of Americans over the machine that seeks to oppress them. It'll be a middle finger wagging in the face of the worst people in the English-speaking world who are our leaders. It will be a moral victory the size of which I never thought I would live to see. It doesn't make it any less real. Donald.
Here's more from Tucker. Let's play this one.
Kamala Harris is just a hapless. The Democratic Party machine, and notice I'm not beating up on Kamala Harris, is just a hapless victim who happened to be there in the right color, so they grabbed her. Tim Walz, they needed some, whatever Tim Walz is. They needed a weak man because it is the party of weak men and unhappy women. One of which leads to the other, by the way. Where you find weak men, you will inevitably find unhappy women. Sorry. And they make them on purpose. They weaken the men to drive the women insane to have the most consistent voting bloc ever in the history of politics. Unhappy women made unhappy by weak men. But it could be anybody. It could be anybody. Kamala Harris is just a stand-in. She's a cardboard cutout. She has a soul. God created her. I'm not attacking her humanity. But there's nothing there. It doesn't matter. If it wasn't Kamala Harris, it would be, I don't know, Pete Buttigieg or whatever. Who are these people? It doesn't matter. They're the cutouts. They work for the machine. They're totally dispensable. They're replaceable. And they need to have limits set for them. And so on Election Day, and I sincerely believe Donald Trump's going to win. And if I thought he was going to lose, I'd be here anyway, by the way. I would. In fact, I would have been here earlier if I thought he was going to lose, just to make the point. I mean it. I don't like people who jump on the winning train, okay? I think Donald Trump's going to win. And not only do I think Donald Trump's going to win, I think that the vibe shift has been so profound. I mean, the numbers suggest he's going to win. He's ahead in all 7 battleground states. But much more important, and the early voting seems to be favoring him. But more important even than the conventional political markers is what you smell around you. And it's the return of freedom.
Yeah.
It's the return of the country you grew up in, where you could say things like, I like that guy, and maybe you like the other person. That's fine. That was not allowed for 9 years. And it's allowed now. The Democrat.
Let's see. Let's go to another clip here. He's talking about Trump talking about Elon Musk.
Because in Pennsylvania, trying to get us lots of votes because he thinks it's so important. He's campaigning. Because he said this is the most important election in our lifetime. And if Trump doesn't win the election, our country is potentially ruined. I mean, he's as strong as anybody I've ever seen.
Elon Musk on the campaign trail. Whoever thought that would happen.
Defending America. But I will never apologize for defending America. I'm not going to do it. I will protect our workers. I will protect our jobs. I will protect our borders. I will protect our families. And I will protect the birthright of our children to live in the richest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth. And that's what we're going to have.
Amen. Here's more.
Singular contribution. All right, I'll say something. I think Donald Trump's singular contribution to this country and the world is by his presence exposing a lot of things a lot of us believed as fraudulent, as lies. It's changed my life watching it. But the single biggest lie that Donald Trump has exposed is that this is a functional democracy, when in fact it's a country oppressed by a small group of its unhappiest citizens for their own benefit. And the promise of this campaign is that Donald Trump will return this country to its owners. And that's its population, that's its people, that's its citizens. And I pray fervently that it happens. I mean it. That's why I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Amen. Amen to that. I think I got another Tucker clip for you. Dude, Tucker, man, he was just on fire. Here's a moment. I don't think this was at the rally. This is somewhere else. This is in North Carolina, but I think it's really important to bring this up.
But as I look back at my life's journey and events, I now recognize that it's been the hand of God leading me to where I am today. Thank you. And my faith took on new meaning on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, where I was knocked to the ground, essentially, by what seemed like a supernatural hand. And I would like to think that God saved me for a purpose, and that's to make our country greater than ever before.
Amen. He definitely had the hand of God on him that day. Oh, it was beautiful to witness him make those remarks. Because it reminds me of what that pastor said, that when he was hit, he had the vision of Trump getting hit by the assassin's bullet, and he fell down, and his faith became stronger. And now Donald Trump is professing that very prophetic vision that was given 4 months prior. Here's more.
Not only you. And so that's the second important thing about this election, okay? The first is every person in this room needs to understand you are not in a despised minority. You are an incredibly gentle and tolerant majority who put up with this crap for way too long. As they insulted not only you, but the memory of your ancestors who died for this country. They tore down statues to their memory. People have never built anything in their lives. They went out of their way to humiliate you and spit on you and the graves of your ancestors. And that's not an exaggeration. They did that. And this country is so nice. It's so polite. It's so thoughtful and empathetic and sweet. It's the kind of country that loves dogs and gives directions to strangers, that we put up with it for 4 years. But we can't anymore. We just can't. And we can't for two reasons. The first reason that we can't put up with it for one more minute is because it's just not justice. It's not. It's not justice. It's unfair. You cannot reward the most parasitic, useless, violent, nasty, aggressive people in your country. You can't make them the richest. You just can't. It's just wrong. In a fair, decent country, the people who work the hardest, who have the highest level of talent, who are the most creative, who are the most decent to their neighbors, who give the biggest tips to waitresses, those people should be successful. Those people should be revered. It shouldn't be Larry Fink. Are you joking? Kamala Harris shouldn't have a job. She has no skills. How did we wind up with a system where Kamala Harris, you couldn't change the tire on your truck, much less drive it? How did she wind up at the top of the pyramid?
How did she wind up? Well, they ousted Joe Biden. That's how. Wow, so many moments from this event.
Taking days off at levels, not seen. I hear she's taking another one tomorrow or something. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Maybe she knows something we don't know. That's bad, right? Maybe she knows something we don't know. Does everybody understand that? Maybe. She takes a day to study for a simple interview with an MSDNC reporter, but then makes a fool of herself with answers that are so crazy.
And then they edit the answers down. So, what we witnessed in Georgia wasn't just a rally. It was a movement coming full circle. When Tucker said this would be a middle finger wagging at the face of the worst people in the English-speaking world, the crowd erupted and the momentum is undeniable. But here's what I want to know from you. With just 12 days left, is this the energy that overcomes election interference? I think so. Too big to rig, right? Share your thoughts below. Okay, let's get to the chat real quick. See what you guys are saying. Would you like lies with that? I rode my motorcycle past the Harris Walls tent they had set up in town. There was not one single person stopped at it both times I rode past today. Man, Tucker is cooking. Oh, yeah. Christian America first, nationalists versus globalists. Kamala fears Tulsi. Of course she does. God save Donald Trump. Okay. I want to check real quick the headlines. I have a hard stop on this show tonight because I have somewhere I have to be immediately after this. So I want to just check real quick on what the latest is going on. James Woods posting about the California sunset. Here is RFK and Dr. Phil. The Menendez brothers case is back in the news. Resentencing announcement is a disgrace, they say. Suspect flees on an e-bike with $2,500 worth of stolen perfume. Here's someone asking for a follow. Jess Sewart, disabled Purple Heart veteran. Here's Jack Posobiec at the Turning Point Action event Let's see. Oh my, is Hillary Clinton back? No, here we go.
One other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it. And, one other thing that you'll see next week.
I'm working on trying to get to that event. I'll keep you posted on that. But let's see. Colorado Secretary of State announces 12 people in Mesa County had their ballots intercepted through the mail and cast without them knowing. 3 ballots made it through the signature verification process. Wow. Your new apartment managers if Kamala's reelected. Trump winning every single swing state is the most likely scenario, Newsweek posting that. Trump has a 91.9% chance of winning the 2024 election via electoral votes, according to the most recent Real Clear Politics and Silver Bulletin reporting. That's amazing news. But don't get complacent, folks. We got to get out. We got to vote. Get your friends to vote. Okay. Patriots, what we covered tonight isn't just news, it's history in the making. Think about what we've witnessed. A vice president so desperate she's playing the Hitler card, only to follow it up with a town hall performance so bad that even CNN couldn't spin it. That's not just a campaign imploding, it's a regime in total panic mode. I was there at Mar-a-Lago on Tuesday night seeing firsthand how the real Hollywood, not the woke elites, is finally standing up for truth. The stories I heard, the exclusive interviews we captured and you saw, they reveal exactly why the establishment is terrified of Trump's return. When UFC champions and business leaders are willing to risk everything to speak out, you know the tide is turning. And then there is Trump's revolutionary proposal to end the IRS forever. Think about it. No more income tax, just like our founding fathers intended. The economic establishment is in absolute meltdown over this one, and for good reason. And what we saw in Georgia, Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump speaking truth to power, those massive crowds, the unstoppable energy, it's all building to something unprecedented. 12 days, my friends, 12 days until we potentially witness the greatest comeback in political history. But here's the truth. We can only keep bringing you this coverage with your support. The powers that be are working overtime to silence independent media, and the links to help keep this show going are in the description below. So share the stream and tell your friends about the Next News Network and join us as we continue to expose what they don't want you to know. Until then, I'm Gary Franchi. God bless you, and God bless America.